Okay, so to begin this TED Talk, Skylar and I are gonna go through every step that you...
This is not going in the video. How do you stop it?
I don't know. Can we put that in our bloopers?
Yeah, I really don't know how to stop this.
Hit the button. Hi, my name's Rachel.
My name's Skylar.
The name of our project is Comparing the Brain of an Average Citizen to the Brain of a Serial Killer.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about how we conceived this idea, how we approached it, and how it turned out.
We're going to start by talking about where our idea came from.
So basically on the first day of the 20% sessions, we kind of sat down and just talked a little bit about what we're both interested in. And obviously Rachel and I have known each other for a while, so it wasn't that hard. And we kind of have like some similar interests.
Our main interest was basically what we're going to go into in college. Skylar really wants to study psychology, and I want to go into the field of criminal justice. So we kind of met in the middle and found like ideas about serial killers and kind of like the makeup of their brains.
What we did was we compared Ted Bundy, who's an American serial killer, to Jack the Ripper, who's a British serial killer, so that way we incorporated Britain. And then we took a specific look at their psychological makeups and what makes them different from the average citizen, and that's where the brains came from. So we're going to tell you guys a little bit about that process and how we got to that point.
Which was a very long process.
Very long process, but it was worth it. It was fun.
Jack the Ripper as our British serial killer, because he's like the most famous, well-known serial killer in Britain. And then when we were trying to pick our American serial killer, we had a bunch of ideas. We didn't really know which way to go with it.
We looked at a lot of interesting people.
We looked up like
there's a lot of weird stuff in America.
100 top serial killers in America.
That was hard to explain in our search history.
It was very interesting.
So like during this process, we kind of realized that like Ted Bundy and Jack the Ripper actually aren't that different, especially in terms of like the psychological part of it. They have the same kind of makeup. So we realized that we kind of needed like a control variable, kind of like in an experiment when you have like an experimental group and a control group. We need something to compare them to. So what we decided to do was to look at an average citizen, and that's where the other brain came from. Go ahead.
So the first phase of our project was our initial research, where we were comparing the British serial killer to an American serial killer.
So our research phase was when we learned the first major lesson of our project, and that is that everything is a full circle. Because as we were doing our research, we realized that a lot of the things we were learning was just like expanding upon knowledge that we've already learned, especially through psychology, because we both took it. And there were so many connections between what we had already learned and what we were finding out that it was almost like we were just kind of like expanding upon what we already knew. And it all connected in like one way or another. And we've learned that like in Britlit too. Just like a lot of the things we've read connect so much to like the things we learn in psychology. So
okay, so the results of most of our research is shown in our FBI case files that we made for our serial killers.
So here they are.
This one is for Jack the Ripper.
This one's for Ted Bundy.
And so while we were doing this, we actually looked up the legitimate FBI case files for each of the serial killers online. So for Jack the Ripper, this one was pretty interesting because they never actually found out who Jack the Ripper was. So it's kind of just a description of what they thought he looked like.
And like his kind of like his social characteristics,
yes,
which gave us like a lot of insight into like how he would be psychologically.
The next phase of our project was putting our research and everything that we had so far together into creating our actual brains for our serial killer and for our average citizen.
So what we did, the first step was to kind of make drawings of what we wanted it to look like. So what we did at this part is actually really helpful, and that was another lesson we learned, is to always like stay really organized, because that made it a lot easier when we went to go actually like execute our plans. Okay, so what we did for this part was we picked like 6 or 7 different specific parts of the brain, and we put them on both of our drawings, both of our diagrams, in order to show like how they're different for the average brain and the serial killer brain. And the next part of it was actually like building the brains, and that was where it got really sticky.
Yep.
It got really,
Probably the
really
hardest
messy.
part of our project.
Easily the hardest part. That was, that took a long time.
We didn't expect it to take as long as it did.
So we started out by saying we're gonna use styrofoam balls to make the brains, and then we were gonna paper mache over it.
Alright, so on this adventure, we decided to go to Michael's craft store and buy the styrofoam balls. So we got there and we were in the aisle, and $15 for one styrofoam ball.
I don't know what I'm paying for. Why is a styrofoam ball $15 is my question. So lesson number 3 of the project was to be ready to innovate. Because we were not about to spend $30 for 2 styrofoam balls.
And that wasn't even half of the materials that we needed for our project.
So we innovated.
Next thing that we found was styrofoam heads.
They did not look like this because they also had a dome.
Yeah, they actually looked like real heads.
Okay, but the styrofoam heads at Michael's were $20. I don't know if this is Michael's
Or just styrofoam.
I don't know if what we were trying to use was expensive.
So we realized we should probably buy them off Amazon.
Because everything's cheaper on Amazon.
Wrong.
But lesson number 4, don't buy things from Amazon because they will come damaged. Whereas
This one's nose is dented in. That's clearly not what a human's head looks like.
and I know this sounds like a rant, but it's really just, that is a lesson. Amazon is a little bit sketchy. So what we did was we left a comment. We heard it.
Review saying
Don't
don't buy styrofoam heads off
because they will
Amazon.
come damaged. But everything else aside, I think this was a good purchase. And so what we ended up doing was getting clay,
for the brains.
and then that was a whole nother process.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Skylar and I sat down trying to build our brains.
And let's just say a lot harder than we were expecting. A lot harder.
First, we decided to look up how to make a brain out of clay on YouTube.
Because we sat there with these 2 big chunks of clay,
Trying to
and
form
we
them.
realized, how do you make a brain? That was our big question.
Yeah.
So we started with balls.
We started with balls and we tried to
kind of etch into it like the little wrinkles and stuff that make it look like a brain, like those little folds and everything like that.
did
Didn't
not work at all. It
That
did not
was
look like a brain.
frustrating. It was disgusting, actually. All right. So then
Secondly,
we went on WikiHow, and it told us, okay, make all these really complex structures and stick them together. So we did it.
didn't look like a brain.
It looked like an alien. That was not a
No.
brain, also.
was not okay.
All right. And so finally, after like probably 2 hours of that, it was like we were super frustrated, super deflated. So what we did was we took 2 balls of clay, and then we rolled up little pieces of the clay and placed it onto the balls and kind of like put them around each other to look like wrinkles. And to be honest, I think it came out pretty realistic.
I think it was the best idea.
I was, overall, we're actually really happy with what they turned out looking like. So that was definitely a positive aspect of the whole endeavor.
Yes, it was.
It was a long time coming. Great, so
Okay, so
this is our final product.
how
You
the
wanna,
final
bring it
product
close? This is it up close.
that's the average citizen. This is a serial killer brain.
Overall, I think that we're pretty happy with our final product. Keep in mind though that this is like not at all what we were planning. Like if you asked us what our product was going to look like at the beginning of this, it was not this at all. Okay, so that goes back to our lesson of being open to change and everything like
Yeah.
that. Just be ready for things not to be what you first think.
I feel like overall we're really happy with our project. Thanks for watching our TED Talk.
We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you liked our brains.
Thank you.